Hello, everyone. Welcome. We'll get started in just 1 minute. Okay, let's go. Welcome. Happy Friday, and welcome to Developer Office Hour. Um, this is a live stream where I answer questions from the forums, Discord, anything that comes up about Omniverse Kit, USD, developing with Python. And then you can also it's also a live Q&A, so if you have any questions you're here watching, feel free to share them in the chat, and I will do my best to answer them today. Anything that I can't answer, I will try to prepare for a following week, or we can talk offline. So all of the code that I show here today is always on the developer office hour GitHub repo. I'm a little bit behind on pushing these up, so I'll push these all up um, today. And then if you want to easily search and find the timestamped videos, the best way is to go to this Omniverse FAQ page and search there. So that's it for our setup. Now today, I needed to enable that. And all right. Hopefully that works. Um, Good. So our questions for today, I've got two queued up. And the first one is, how do I get just the mesh prims from my current selection? So this one came up today. Kind of have resources all around this topic, but it is good to kind of show you where to find it and how to piece that together. So if you go to the Omniverse documentation, there is a USD portal. And here we have our USD code samples. And there are a few samples that you can kind of piece together. First of all, prims. We have a sample for getting the currently selected prims. We also have this get a prim, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then also find all prims of a given type. So the idea is we use this OmniUSD API to get all the currently selected prims. This is going to give you prim paths as strings. So then you need to use the get a prim code sample in order to get the get a prim object from the prim path. And then once you have that prim object, you can use this is with the prim type. And I think that should work. So let's give that a try. Okay, so we're going to grab OmniUSD from Pixar, import USD geom for the meshes, and we're going to get the stage. OmniUSD get context, get stage. That's going to get us the current stage in our Omniverse application. Then we're going to get that selection. And it wants the context again. So we'll just copy that down there. And now we have a list of strings. So then we can say meshes And for cell in selection, we do need also USD. We're going to get a prim, stage.get. Oh, I guess we don't need USD. Get prim at path. I guess we could call that path. And then if prim dot is a USD geom mesh dot append prim. And let me just double check that code sample, the final one. So here's an example of getting meshes. Yeah, so the type that's being passed in is just the class, the schema class. So we'll go ahead and use that. And if I wanted to use this, I could have pasted that code sample, but I've done this enough times to just write it out. Okay, and then we can print out mesh. That should have been called meshes. All right. Now in theory, I should be able to say, whoops, that didn't work. Well, it did work. I just don't have any. So let's create a few things here. We'll create a cone, a cube. The cylinder will be a shape that's not a mesh. And we can create a light. Okay, and we'll select all of them. And even, one of these could be inside of a transform, something like that. And now we can come over here and run this again. And we got cone and cube only. And that's what we expected, right? We only have two meshes here, cone and the cube. And we can see the paths are correct. This one's under the group X form, and this one's under world. Any questions about that? Okay. I see questions in the chat. I have one more question, and then I will answer questions from the chat. Cool. So I think we're good with this one. Next up, how do I programmatically add an sbsar material to my USD stage? So I'm not an expert on this, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But an sbsar is like a material archive. It has the procedural definition for building a procedural material from Substance Designer, and it will generate textures procedurally, and then plug those into a material, and you have a fully contained material in this one archive. So I downloaded this a while back. It's Blueberry Skin, SBSAR. And we have in Omniverse an extension that will load this, and it'll run the graph and produce any textures that it needs, and loads those and builds the material out. So so it's kind of convenient that you can just reference these in Omniverse, and you've got a full material with textures and everything procedurally built out. So for that, I think we'll delete these. We'll add a default lighting here because we're going to need lighting now. And if we look in here, there's an extension, Substance 3D Material Extension UI, which requires the file format sbsar. So we should, so it's two things. The file format is the thing that is a plugin that will load those files. It'll understand how to read those files when you reference them. And this will allow you to edit the material from the property window. So we're going to go ahead and install this and make sure it's auto loaded. Sorry, that should have been auto loaded. It'll enable it when I restart. And then I will also auto load that one just because one less thing to think about. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and close this and we will start it back up. So the reason that you need to, most extensions, you just enable them and you're good. For extensions that have USD plugins, you actually need to restart the application because those need to be registered at the beginning when the app starts up. So that's why we do the auto load and restart. Okay. So we can just verify. Good. And then I'm going to enable my VS Code extension so I can run code from VS Code. All right. And next up, we'll create a sphere mesh. We'll set up that default lighting. And now down to and back to the actual question we're trying to answer here. If I go to extensions and look up command, there's this command utils window. I'll dock that there. And if I search for commands and search sbsar, we actually have a few commands here. And this is the one that we want. We want to reference it and bind it. So let's take a look here. We need sbsar path and the target prim path where we want to create it. Those are keywords. So all we really need is the file path. I'm going to go ahead and just copy one of these because that's going to give me kind of the scaffolding for executing a command. And the one that we are going to add sbsar reference and bind command. So I had to do that because I don't think we have a good way yet to copy a command unless it's been executed already. So a little workaround there. And then the only thing we need to give it is just the file path. So this one is in C. And we'll run it. Oh, what did we get here? It's because I have backslashes and those get escaped. So if I do a raw string, raw strings are good for file paths like this Windows file paths where you have the back slashes. Let's try that again. All right. Takes one positional argument, but two were given. And that's because it doesn't want sbsar path. It wants to treat this as a keyword argument. All right. All right. So I don't know if I had a selection there, and I probably didn't. So it could have bound it. It didn't. But you can see here what it did. It created a looks scope automatically because I didn't have one. And then it just referenced that file. And by having that file format plugin, it went and procedurally generated the rest of this. So now I can assign it. And I'll redo this with the by selecting the sphere first. It should have worked. There we go. I didn't get the highlight when I dragged it. All right, we've got a full-blown blueberry here. See some normal mapping and roughness and all that. So let's see here. We can add now because of that other plugin that adds options to the property window. I can tweak this, add some water drops and things like that, all procedurally generated, and I can change the resolution. So there's our blueberry. So I went the commands history route. I looked it up. I realized I could have also, I think you can just do add reference to also produce that command. So I could have done add reference. I think this will work. Blueberry. No, let's do star. I don't know if that's going to do the right thing, but we'll see. Looks like it did. It did a plain old reference. The other command is better for sure. I don't know. Is it here in material? Yeah, I don't know if we have a UI option for that one. Let me run this command one more time so we can show that it does bind at the same time. So I've selected the sphere. As long as you have whatever you want to bind to selected, you run this and it did not bind. Let me double check the... I guess target print path would be the way that you bind. It's not off of selection. Let's try that one more time. Sorry. Target print path, world sphere. All right. There we go. So created and bound. All right, that's it for this one. Any questions about sbsar, referencing one dynamically? Okay. we'll move on to chat questions. All right, first one going down the list is we have lots of individual videos and resources about Omniverse, but if you're looking for course training from beginner to advanced, is there anything out there? It depends what you're looking for. There's a lot of topics around Omniverse, so it's not going to be one individual course. What I can say is that for our developers, we have in the USD portal, we have this learning path for learning USD in Omniverse. So, learning USD, but there is there are a couple of courses here. There's the free USD Deep Learning Institute course. Then there's one called Essentials of USD in Omniverse, which is you got to pay for it, but you get a VM machine that with an RTX card that can run Omniverse, and you can kind of play in there for a good while. I think you have access for like a year or something, and then a bunch of tutorials to kind of round out that learning path. So I will share that. As far as other courses, if we look at, I always just search USD DLI because it's gonna get me to where I want to go. But if you search for Deep Learning, NVIDIA Deep Learning Institute, and go to the online courses, and then graphics and simulation, we have some other courses here about synthetic data generation, developing kit applications, Isaac Sim, developing extensions. So lots and lots. And we are continuing to build that out. So I hope that helps get you started. There's a question about how can you import a character into audio to face? Can you explain what extensions are available? Trying to put a custom avatar into audio to face. Yeah. So I don't have anything available on me right now, but you should be able to use any of our connectors. Audio to face is just like any other Omniverse application. You want to set up, if you're just working by yourself, and just set up a local host Nucleus server. You can do that from here. Make one. And there's like an option to just install a new one. And then you need that in order to use the connectors. The connectors are here, and there's a ton of different applications that will connect to the Nucleus server and translate data from whatever application to USD essentially. So you could use Maya, 3ds Max, iClone. We just had a live stream yesterday about iClone, so that would probably be a really great video to check out, where they show how to bring a character into Omniverse, and then once it's in a Nucleus in Omniverse, you can open it in any application. We also there's folks in our community that have shown how to bring in a character from Blender, Marcom 3D. I know he's done one about bringing in a frog. Let me search that off to the side here. Or I guess it's a toad. at. All right, so there's this one here, and so he shows that workflow. And there's even for audio to face, there's even a in the in the Blender plugin. There's even a direct connection to audio to face. And if you choose to use Blender, you want to use the Blender that we provide from the launcher. This is going to have the Omniverse extension, the Omniverse plugin for Blender with all that goodness. So I hope that helps. It's obviously a bigger topic than we can demo here today. But once you've connected it, once you've sent it over to Nucleus, you have a USD file that represents that character. You should be able to just open up audio to face. I don't know if I have that installed right now. I don't. Open up audio to face and then just do file open or file or add a reference to that one to bring it in to have Mark and your character to do the transfer. Cool. But yeah, I think the Markham 3D video is probably a good one to check out, or the live stream from yesterday. Though I don't know if I'm sure they don't go into audio face there. All right, next question. I might need you to explain what you mean by. There's a question here about parametrically designing bodies using VS Code. I may need some clarification on what you mean by bodies. What are we talking about here? Human bodies, physical bodies, rigid bodies. And this is probably the clue here. Mujoko format. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure that probably is the key bit of info that I'm missing. So if you can explain a little bit, I might be able to answer that one. Magic 3D. How do I get my hands on that? If I remember correctly, that is the like the text to 3D model. I don't release that one yet. There's a paper. It looks like we're saving that for Picasso. So what you can do is sign up. So here I searched Magic 3D. This is the research page, and this is so cool. But what you want to do is you can see here that our latest text to 3D models will be available through NVIDIA Picasso. So you can click on this sign up for Picasso and hopefully be notified when we have early access for this. So I will put that in the chat. Okay, going back to bodies, let's say a robot arm that needs to be updated and optimized. Okay, so now I have some context. Okay, so you want to design different configurations of a robot arm. At the end of the day, you are kind of writing files, right? Because in Omniverse and Isaac Sim, when you write code, you're really writing directly I just created this mesh param. I can copy this, go to the script editor, and pretend this is my robot configuration. And in this robot, I'm going to put a cone at the origin to represent the base of my robot arm. When I'm doing that, I'm writing code, but at the same time, it's authoring a USD file. So you so kind of just to clarify, there is you are still generating these, but you can parametrically and programmatically create things, and you could either author these as separate files and have a bunch of robot arms in different stages, um, and then load them up and evaluate, or you could do it as variant sets. Right. Okay. So you want to um, use VS Code, update it by creating a new file, run reinforcement learning again, and keep doing that until the performance is achieved. So I think we have tutorials for that. I don't know how much you've looked at the docs here, but we have. I guess this is all manual, right? It's not programmatic. We have another one. Really, it's going to come down to understanding the USD API to author that USD data. So if you haven't explored USD yet, if depending on how far in that learning journey you've gone, I do recommend again that initial learning path, this USD learning path. It's going to give you a good foundation for understanding authoring USD data and prims and properties, and also it'll talk about variants, and then you can choose whether you want to do separate files, or maybe it's different variants for each of your robot configurations. Then you can just toggle to switch to a different robot configuration, and then run your reinforcement learning again. Does that help? I don't know how far along you've gone in your learning, but that is probably where I would start, is just get a good foundation of OpenUSD, and then we do have some Isaac Sim related Python snippets here that may help. Creating physics scenes. I think we have stuff about joints as well. And then the other thing that might help is the Isaac Gem repo. This, I believe, has USD code to generate these robots. Let's see. RDF. So this is doing different configurations. You may want to look here too if you haven't yet. This may help you with the actual reinforcement learning part of it. Cool. There was a Picasso follow-up question. Is Picasso going to be released in the near future? I don't have a time estimate. It's obviously a big part of the stuff that we've been showing and talking about at the conferences. So there is a lot of work happening right now for that and getting that out the door. So hopefully soon. Gotta go back. Does Omniverse support other Hydra delegates? Yes, is the short answer. The long answer is I don't. It's not easy at the moment, and the eventual goal USD plugin samples. What happens is we have a slightly tweaked USD installation in Omniverse that it's based off of USD 2211, but it's just a little tweak. So if you need to build plugins, you have to build it against how the USD version that we're running. And so currently the easiest way to do that is you might be able to figure it out for what you want to do is this repo here. And we have examples for building schema plugins and file format plugins and dynamic payloads and all that. So in theory, you should have everything you need to do a Hydra render delegate. I know the team wants to get an example out there to show you, to make it easier. But I think today you may be able to use this for that purpose. You can see here the NVUSD is what I was talking about. So I would start there. And then it would be the same story. There's plugin needs to be loaded first on startup. You can look at our other Hydra. What's a good one? Maybe Hydra iRay or one of those extensions to see how they configure their extension in order to load that Hydra render delegate. Little things you need to do here. Make sure this one's kind of basic. But anyways, there should be, yeah, we have this Pixar one. Let's see the Hydra RTX one. I thought there would be more to this configuration, but maybe things have changed since the last time I looked at this. All right, that's all I have for now on that. Is if you want to try to dig into it, you could experiment with the plugins repo, and otherwise, hopefully, soon we'll have a Hydra render delegate example in here. Next one. Sorry, I have. Can you use Action Graph to or Python to add interactivity to VR, for example, add an object to the VR camera or add objects to the controller positions? I'm pretty sure you should be able to do that today with Python. I don't remember what limitations we have with Action Graph and XR, but that should be getting sorted out fairly soon if there are any limitations. I would check in the XR channel on Discord. There are some recent discussions on that, and otherwise you can ask. Let me see if I can search that up really quick. OmniXR. And I thought with this recent release of Composer, we have XR stuff in Composer now. Let's check. Brad, I see you're on Discord and asking all these questions. If you're still not able to get that question answered, hit me up afterwards and I can ask directly. All right. I'll wait for Composer to come up and then I'll have a look there. All right, let's do this one. I'm new to Omniverse. What can it do, and how can I use it to make, let's say, a scene for a commercial? So Omniverse is welcome to Omniverse. Omniverse is a developer platform. The idea is that we are providing the framework, the building blocks for developers. Really, I didn't want to repeat platform, but it is the platform for developers to then build tools and applications for someone like yourself that may want to create a scene for a commercial. What we have today that you might find useful. So, I would always keep an eye out because there's always new stuff that developers are creating that you might find useful. But what you can do today is you can use USD Composer to build out your scene for your commercial. You can bring in content from different sources using connectors. So you can bring content from Maya, 3ds Max, Blender, or even CAD applications. Say a car from a CAD application like we've shown at SIGGRAPH most recently, and you could do a commercial with the CAD model of the car, and even do a car configurator. You could do a web app to have customers be able to configure a car in 3D. But some things that are pretty appealing are the RTX real time, RTX interactive path tracing. These are very fast renders using ray tracing for lighting and shadows, and it looks amazing. I am not doing it justice with this, but maybe we can open up one of these showcases. This one's quite good. I have to download all the stuff, so hopefully that doesn't take too long. But yes, that's what you could do today. Let me check here. So most recently at SIGGRAPH, we talked about the advanced car configurators on NVIDIA Omniverse Cloud. And there's a video for that. And so that might be interesting to you. All right. And yeah, but I would try it. I'm fairly certain you can, going back to the XR question, I'm fairly certain you can build something today with Python. And I would test out Action Graph to see where that's at. If not in this release, I think it was targeting the next release. Cool. And then there's a question about whether users can use RTX path tracing SDK in Omniverse. I don't know. It would be a C++ SDK, and I don't know. I feel like we haven't exposed that because that would be tied into our. Well, I mean, I guess it depends on what you're trying to do, but I can look into that. All right, I think this is gonna take a while, and it's just a slow internet connection for me. Sorry. Any other questions? We've got a few minutes left. I really wanted to show this one. Come on, folks, help me buy time so we can maybe see this before we go. All right, so that's all good. Oh, moved. No more questions? Let me see if I have anything I can share here. Talked about that. I guess while we're here, if you go to NVIDIA.com Omnivores, we have our community resource page. We have the Omniverse Insider application. If you click on there, it'll take you to a form and you can tell us a little bit about yourself. There's a form that you can fill out. You can fill out as little or as much as you want. Come back and fill out more. Things like social media profiles and things like that, and what sort of what applications you have expertise in. Uh, and this helps us out from the community side to identify users and early access to certain releases, and if there's a customer or partner that needs help with something, some Omniverse expertise or Omniverse and Revit expertise, we can reach out to people in our community and connect the right people together. So fill that out. And what else do we have here? And then we have our ambassadors. This is the new thing here, highlighting our ambassadors. and upcoming events and live streams. So if you're ever wondering when our next live stream is going to be, you can come in here and find out, and that can take you to our add event, where you can add these events to any of your calendars. All right, we've got a car. The go through the action graph variant a bit. I thought we have a tutorial on that though. Still loading the materials, the textures and materials, so cache and all that. But going back to configurator, we do have I think it's in workflows actually. So if I go to Omniverse workflows, yep, product configurators. I don't know if you've looked at this yet, but this should give you everything you need to know for using the configurator. And if you follow this, if you don't care about configurator, you just care about the variant action graph nodes, you should be able to look at the configurator action graph. Actually, there's a whole workflow here. So I think both of these should get you where you want to go. Yeah, if you should be able to look at a product configurator action graph and learn from that example. So there's the product configurator. Here's the variants workflow. Oh no, somebody put live, literally liver, peas, PS. At least I didn't spell it, PEAS. We'll report that once we get off of here. All right. If that is all, did it finish loading? Oh, it's almost there. Look at that car material with all the noise. All right, I think we'll call it. Maybe we'll save the car for another session. But here's what it looks like. This is the end result. So pretty cool. All right, thanks everybody for coming. I hope you have a great weekend, and I hope you all join us next week for more Omniverse fun. See you.